Jags get ready to go in the morning, 8:15. Camp starts. Can't wait to watch this edition of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Players reporting today, rookies, quarterbacks, some others have been there since the weekend. It is go time in the NFL and here in Jacksonville. Brent Martineau along with Austin Lane, Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network every day, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. And, we are happy to be joined right now by Liam Coen, the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Appreciate him taking a few minutes. Summer vacation is over. Time to get to work. Hope you enjoyed a little bit of getaway time before it's go time, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Brent and Austin. I really appreciate you having me on. It was great. It was good to get away as always and actually enjoy some family time, especially kind of the last 6 months for us has been a little bit of a whirlwind. And you go from the playoff game to the interview process and to moving. So we're still in the process of moving as we speak, but it was a great time, great trip, spent it with family and friends, and now we're ready to get back to work. Yeah,
family and friends, and now it's like you have 90 brothers, I guess, that you younger brothers. I don't think you had anybody older than you, but that joined the locker room and joined this Jaguars headquarters. We were trying to discuss earlier and figure out what's your message when you get everybody together, and how important is that message this time of year to then practice what you're about to preach? What are you delivering today to these guys?
Yeah, I think so much of what we're doing here is very consistent throughout the NFL, right? All other 31 teams are doing exactly the same thing, right? Very similar rhythm and routine, very similar goals in a lot of ways. The message for the team today is, what are we going to do to differentiate ourselves? What are we going to do? Each person in the building, each coach, each player, and what does that actually look like? And how much time are we going to take on sharpening that edge to ultimately allow that to be our team, right? Like everybody's edge. What's their best attribute? The things that they hold dear as a player and as a person. What does that look like? And that'll ultimately kind of depend on what this team looks like in a lot of ways. So, everybody's doing the same thing. And that's the message. Like if we just go and do the same exact thing that we've done year after year and expect a different result, we're probably crazy. We've got to go and do it at a different level, at a higher level, with that much more intentionality and effort, because we're all doing the same thing. How are we going to differentiate ourselves?
Coach, when we talk about a message and a theme, coaches approach this differently. I've had coaches in the past when I played that they want to bring up the past and say, hey, we can't do that again. And then I've had coaches that go, you know what, the past it's in the past for a reason. Like, let's just focus on the future. Where do you stand? Like, do you use some of the things that have happened here, some of the painful seasons as motivation? Or do you just go and look, hey, this is a new regime, this is a new style, new philosophy, we're on to the future?
Yeah, a little bit more of the latter. We definitely have referenced, some of even dating back, we've shown highlights of 95, 96 seasons in terms of what that looked like when this place was rocking and this place was packed and, all the great players that have come through here. So we can't forget that, right? We've wanted to continue to educate our players on some of that history and tradition and success. We've also tapped into the playoff victory, coming back as one of the largest comeback victories in playoff history. And a lot of, there's players on this team that were a part of that. And so just tapping into some of those, traditions, moments, history that can, help lead us in the right direction. Ultimately, yes, this every year is a new year. And we know in this league, any given Sunday, anybody can win, right? And anybody can lose. And so the margin for error, as we know, is so small. And a lot of times you end up losing more games than you end up getting beat. Yeah. And that's the message. Hey, we've got to go from, hey, we may get beat. This is the NFL. You might get beat. But we've got to not beat ourselves and lose games. It's okay to get beat. Hey, that's going to happen. We've got to be able to learn from those moments, bounce back. And that's what ultimately training camp's about, is getting through adversity, working through the pain and the soreness and the heat, and go through all that and come out on the other side and see what kind of team we have.
How much progress have you made with Trevor in the offseason? Where you want him to be? Where is he at in terms of, some of the footwork things or fundamentals that you're working on, but also obviously the grasp of the offense and being the leader of that offense?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt Trevor did not just sit back and relax this summer. I wholeheartedly know he came back here prepared, ready to go. They just took 100-question quiz in the quarterback room 2 nights ago, and he did very well. And just, those are things that ultimately it's part of the process, right? This is the next phase, right? We had a little bit of a winter. We had phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and now we're in training camp, which is ultimately just part of this process. And so been very pleased with his command in terms of understanding the intentionality of what we're trying to get done offensively. Learning new wideouts, new tight ends, new positions, new offensive line. Like, there is a lot of new for Trevor going on right now. I've been very pleased with his dedication to the process. And ultimately, man, the results will speak for themselves. Like, that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. That's what we're judged by. It's the process in which we hope that drives those positive results. But ultimately, we're going to have to work on that and see where we land.
Give us a sense of a question. Can you give us one of the questions on that 100-question quiz?
Yeah, what would be the can for Zemo to South right close F short, 17 TIF insert can, 16 SIF?
That's why I was on defense, Brent. That's why I was on defense, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I just talk about it.
Yeah.
He has to be able to obviously visualize that play call, spit that out, understand why we're running that play or why we want to run the other play. And there's parameters around that. It's not just, I think this side's better than that. There's parameters, and we have to teach those parameters. He's learned those, and ultimately, hopefully, allow him to go out and have the tools to go play fast.
Your offense emphasizes the screen game. And again, I'm going to revert back to the past because I've been watching this for 17 years. This has not been a franchise that's operated well in the screen game, offensively or defensively, quite frankly. How hard is it to perfect? How good can you guys be at it with this group?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because we've always tried to find the balance as coaches on practicing the screen game, right? Like, it's hard to practice on air because there's so many moving parts, right? There's landmarks that we're trying to get to on screens. They're not just elephants on parade running out, right? We have landmarks where we're trying to catch the football, where we're trying to create the kick out, where is going to be the next block, where do we want the player to get to? Again, there's parameters that ultimately you teach, you drill, you coach, but you have to do them live. Like, you've got to do them in practice. You have to commit to using reps in practice on the screen game. And ultimately, the screen game is so much built upon, can your O-line adjust in space? Are they good enough to play in space and adjust on the fly and on the move? And also, do you have ball in hand players, skill players? And that those are things we do have. We have guys that ultimately, if you can get them the ball with a little bit of space, they can make a play. And that's exciting, right? Whether it's a running back, receiver, Brent Strange, like whoever that may be, I think that's a part of our game that we definitely need to continue to improve upon and use as a weapon because it can be, and it also helps the quarterback alleviate some pressure.
I haven't been on the field in 11 years, but to hear the phrase "elephants on parade" is still refreshing. So I'm glad Coach brought that back into the scene here. Yep. Coach, since you've got here, I've been dying to ask you this question about one of your coaching performances from last year. And it was actually in a loss, but I think it was one of your most impressive play calling things that you had. And this was October 27th against the Falcons. And why I think it's so impressive, because the previous game, you lose Chris Godwin, you lose Mike Evans. Baker Mayfield comes out against the Falcons, goes 37 for 50, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Can you take us just back after that game in the Ravens when you lose both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin for an extended period of time? What do you tell Baker? How do you get his confidence up? And how does he have that monumental game? Because I remember, there was fantasy implications for me, fantasy football. I thought for sure it was going to be a run-heavy game, and you guys come out and just pass all over the place. What was that game prep like? What was the conversation with Baker Mayfield like?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, I've actually looked back at that game so many times and have frustrations on my own about a few play calls that one of them actually ended in an interception. And, that's the torment that we live ultimately. But honestly, it was frustrating, right? We lose two of our best players in the same game. And, those are the moments, those are the times as a coach and as a team, as an offense, that you do have to trust the process, right? Like, yeah, we could have maybe gone and got a receiver off the streets or a free agent or, make a trade. And that would have definitely pleased me in the short term. And, I can't lie, I was probably frustrated with that at the time, but that was something that ultimately helped mold the rest of the season, was that kind of game plan. And that game, though we lost, helped, man, this is our job truly as coaches, to adapt and adjust to our personnel. Like, that is what coaching is in its purest form. And doing what our players do best, the ones that are available, because these are ours. We didn't go find somebody off the street or go trade for somebody. So that was an all-in deal, right? Kate Otten became a huge part of the game plan, and 21 Pony became much more of a utilized personnel grouping. And, that was one of those games that I thought Baker played his tail off. I mean, 50 throws was probably a little bit higher than where I'd like to be from a balance standpoint. And, look back, probably could have ran it, but they definitely made a commitment to stop the run that game. And it ended up being one of those types of ball games where you got to throw it to win a little bit. And, that was definitely where you saw Baker take over and take a next step in his progression.
I can't wait to watch 21 Pony. We got to let you go here. And let's go quick hitters. Are you guys pretty healthy coming in?
Yeah.
Other than Gardeck, I think, is physically unable to perform. Is everybody going to show up, first of all, and are you pretty healthy?
Yeah, that I'm aware of. They're all showing up today right now by 1 o'clock. So I haven't gotten any surprises as of right now. So, I think we're pretty healthy right now. I mean, like you said, Dennis will be, start on the pup and then, hopefully come off here shortly and be able to give us some meaningful snaps. So I think the guys are excited. We'll see today. Obviously, this is going to be a grind, as we all know, but there's definitely some excitement in the air, I think.
Hey, did you see this kid's catch from Mandarin High School? I mean, did it enter the building, and is this one of the best catches you've ever seen for Bryson Wright, a local kid?
What a great catch, man. I mean, unbelievable. I was looking at him, he's like 14, right?
Yeah.
I mean, his legs are...
They say he is.
I was looking at this kid like, man, when's he coming out? Geez, like, look at him. I mean, he's got good stride length, man. He's fighting contact. What an unbelievable play. I mean, it's just cool to see, obviously, continuing to grow the game, right? I mean, that's what it's ultimately about. And you're getting more people at a young age playing the game, I think is really cool. And to see Jacksonville obviously on the map that way is pretty nice to see as well.
I made the comp, though. Travis Hunter has body control that's crazy. That kid kind of showed off. I'm not trying to compare him to Travis Hunter. I'm just saying, but that's what you guys rave about Travis Hunter, his ability to do things with his body that's just not normal.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really difficult thing to coach, right? I mean,
yeah.
Either you kind of have it or you don't. And obviously our guy there from Mandarin has it, and he'll definitely be on our radar over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, lastly, this is for the Rhode Island folks. Did you go hire a Cumberland High School football coach, Josh Lima, I guess, out of there? And what's that like to be able to give these guys opportunities? You got the opportunity at one point, but now you're in a position to give these guys opportunities. What will he do on your staff?
Yeah, so he'll be kind of working with the equipment staff, kind of headsets on game days. He'll be in the building essentially almost as a coaching assistant, right? On offense, defense, special teams, whatever, anywhere we need help, right? This is something that has been a dream of his for a long time. I've always wanted to have the opportunity to be able to hire him at multiple different spots, and it just worked out from a timing standpoint that it worked out this time, and super, jacked up to have him in the building. And obviously when you can continue to grow the game, like that's what it all is, right? I mean, giving people opportunities, whether you're from high school, college, wherever it is, to be able to come and work your tail off and ultimately get a chance. Really, that's what this is an opportunity for him to get in, to get your foot in the door, because that's the hardest part.
Yeah,
is what I learned was getting your foot in the door, having a contact that will actually stand on the table for you and bring you in. Now it's your job and responsibility to stay, but it's much harder to get in. So really excited to have Josh here with us.
Coach, I got one last question for you. I'm not going to let Brent hog this interview. I got one more for you. In 2023, the Bucs were last in yards per carry. You take over in 24, they were third. What percentage of that was scheme? What percentage of that was talent? And what percentage of that was attitude?
I think that's a great one. You look at those three things, I do believe it was an absolute combination of those three things.
For sure.
You already had a confident unit, right? They'd gone to the playoffs the year before. They won a Super Bowl in 2020 with Tom Brady. There was already confidence and attitude within that team. There was. Yes, we tweaked a few things, added a little bit more motion, so a little bit different variety in the run game, and then insert Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
That was the O-line was ready to do that, right? They were primed to take that next step. We ended up doing a little bit more gap scheme, which kind of fit our personnel a little bit better. But ultimately, when you have a guy that could make people miss behind the line of scrimmage and move it forward, that's, again, something that is difficult as a coach to teach. So I do think it was a combination. And the one that probably was the most impactful was the attitude, was the mindset, was all 11 were bought in to that mindset and mentality very early on. When you go back and look at our first game against the Washington Commanders, and Mike Evans is going and digging out safeties, in the run game. And just that was when you knew, okay, we've got something here, because our best player is showing and setting the standard and doing it right. And ultimately, it continued to lead, and we didn't quite figure it out till like 4 games in, like who we were going to be. And credit the players and credit the staff that we did have to be able to kind of make that change and that shift. And ultimately, it's something we need to do here as well.
We need a yard, man. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. We need a yard around here. Haven't been able to get it in the last few years. Liam Coen, good luck with today's message. Good luck with camp. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Appreciate you taking a few minutes.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.